What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. I hope you are all having a wonderful day. For today's video, we are over in Henford-On-Bagley and I am building just a little family cottage. And it has been a very long time since I have built in Henford-On-Bagley. I've been wanting to do it for a while now, and I figured, with this new nature pack coming out, maybe now is the best time for me to go ahead and build in it once again. And I had so much fun building this. I kind of went back and forth on the vibe that I wanted to go for this cottage. And at first I was going to do like the animal shed where you could choose either a cow or a llama plus the chicken coop. But I actually went in a little bit of a different direction, and I decided to do a horse barn in the back instead, and then a chicken coop. So you have a little bit of both worlds there. But before I get any deeper into today's video, I would like to take a second to invite you guys to leave a like on this video if you do find it enjoyable. Also, subscribe if you have not already, and leave a comment down below on what your favorite part of today's build is. I love reading the comments you guys leave. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get back into today's build. It is worth noting that this is actually a limited pack build. I was thinking to myself, what packs are out at this time that would be best for like a nature-esque build? And yes, this cottage I consider to be a little bit nature themed. I mean, we do have a little bit of a garden. We have, actually I put a sunroom in here, and I also put a nectar cellar down in the basement. So we have a lot going on in this build, and once we get to that portion of the build, I will talk more about it. But like I was saying, I was thinking to myself, what packs would be best to use for like a nature themed build. And so the packs that I ended up using are, obviously cottage living. I used horse ranch. I used cats and dogs, and then I did end up using one of the kits, and I used the country kitchen kit. And all of those together with the base game, of course, I was able to create this build. And I have been very used to using every single pack that I came across a little bit of a problem. I would think of a particular item that I wanted to use, and I would go scrolling in the catalog trying to find it, and then I have like, the sudden reminder that popped in my head like, oh no, this is only limited packs and you don't have that pack installed, and that is why you cannot find it. And I do know some of the clutter pieces are kind of hidden in the catalog at the moment. You have to actually search for them, and I feel like even if you search for them, you still can't find it, but that's a whole different story. But with this only being limited packs, I think this build came out so good. It definitely helped that I had at least 3 expansion packs to go off of, plus one of the kits, so it made it a whole lot easier. And all of those packs have a similar vibe to it, and so it actually was quite easy to put them all together, and all the items in those packs look very good together. On the windows on the outside, I used the cottage living window itself, and then each of the window like shutters on each side, that's actually from Horse Ranch. And I have been dying to use this green color in a build for so long, and I decided to go ahead and do it in this build. So I loved the way that the shutters looked with that green color on the outside, and I really wanted to figure out how I could bring it to the inside too, and I found these kitchen cabinets from Cottage Living, and I have wanted to use this green color for so long, ever since the pack came out, honestly, and I just haven't found a good way to use it. I don't know, I'm more of like a blue person, at least for building wise. Like, I love the color green, don't get me wrong. I like all colors. I really don't know what my favorite is. I think my favorite's pink, to be honest. But yeah, like I was saying, I have been dying to use it, but for some reason my eyes and like ability to design a house in The Sims just goes to blue every single time, and I don't know why. But I'm trying my hardest to kind of get out of that, because I do really like this green color, and I was so happy that I was able to make it work in this build. And the kitchen is very small. Everything's very small in the house, but I did do that purposely. I wanted to have a little bit less house and a little bit more yard, and we're already on quite a small lot anyways, I believe. This is the Cordelia's Secret Cottage lot or something, and I think it's only 20 by 15 if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's 30 by 20, but I'm pretty sure it's only 20 by 15, so that should tell you how big this house really is. It really isn't that big, even though it looks relatively big, to be honest. I was able to fit 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms in this build, so that was pretty good. We have the master bedroom upstairs with the master bathroom, and then 2 of the extra bedrooms are upstairs. Then we have the final bedroom downstairs and the final bathroom downstairs. So the other 2 children that are upstairs will have to go downstairs to share that bathroom that, you know, is the guest bathroom, but that's fine. I feel like that's pretty realistic anyways. As far as the Sims that live in this house, so we have 2 parents, 1 or 2 parents, really it's up to you to decide. And then we have a teenager, we have a child, and then we have an infant. I feel like those are like my go-to ages. I seem to always do that in my builds. I just have so many bedrooms, and I hate doing like 2 of the same age. I feel like it gets kind of old. And so yeah, that's kind of what we ended up with. And as far as their personalities go, I will describe each one of them once we get to their bedroom. Right now I'm placing the bed in the master bedroom, but I'm not actually doing the master bedroom. I don't remember why I really did that. Sometimes I just place random furniture that I know I'm going to want to use so that I don't forget to use it. But we are actually in the living room, so I did start the kitchen. The kitchen is not done. We do have a lot more work in the kitchen, but I do remember having a little bit of a hard time trying to, you know, furnish this house for some reason, at least at first. But then once I started, it finished itself, it felt like. But yeah, at first it was just kind of hard to get started. But as for this living room, obviously we're keeping the cottage vibe going. So we have a very busy wallpaper, and I use this wallpaper actually frequently throughout this build. I just love this wallpaper. I think it is so cute, and it's my favorite from Cottage Living. And this fireplace is also from Cottage Living. I am placing one of those like picture frame TVs on it with the landscape like background. I love it. I thought it was perfect to use in this build. And at this moment I'm using these base game curtains, but that does end up changing. I end up finding the ones from Cottage Living a little bit later. I think I actually end up finding it when I do the dining room, and I'm like, oh my god, these look so much better. Or the curtains are from Cats and Dogs. I'm pretty sure I said Cottage Living, but I meant Cats and Dogs. The curtains from Cats and Dogs I end up using, and they look so much better. I mean, these white ones, they look good, don't get me wrong, but they're not like cottagey enough, and I needed something more cottagey, and so I ended up swapping them out for the Cats and Dogs ones. And then I was going to put a rocking chair in here, but I don't think it would have been enough room. And I do want to put this old-timey radio in here somewhere. I came across it. That is from Horse Ranch, and I was like, oh, that is perfect. I need to like find like a table to be able to put it on, and I had this like memory of seeing this like tall yet kind of skinny table from Horse Ranch, and I was like, oh my god, that is perfect. I'm pretty positive I remember seeing that. And just as a reminder, it has been a very long time since I built with Horse Ranch too, like just Horse Ranch or just Cottage Living, so I'm kind of remembering certain items as I'm going, and I can't remember if it's actually from that pack or if it's from one of the other packs and I just assumed it's from that pack. So I remember certain items and I go look for it. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But in that case, that tall skinny cabinet, yeah, that was definitely there, so that was nice. And so I was able to just plop the radio on top of it, and I just love that old-timey radio. It just looks so good in that living room. And then I pulled out this old-timey clock as well, the wall clock. I love that. That was like one of my favorite items when Cottage Living first came out. Like, I'm not even joking. And we are pretty much done with the living room. I do end up going back every so often through this build to add some different stuff in the living room. I think I end up adding like a cross stitch box. I end up adding a box that has like pillows and blankets because I found a swatch that has chickens on it and I thought that was perfect. Now we're working on the dining room and I pretty much have it done. It's very small, so it doesn't take long to fill up the space. And the table, the way it is now, I love the way that it looks now. It is very much preferred the way that it looks now, but my sim could not get around it, so I had to delete the chairs on both ends of the table, and then I actually had to flip the table to be like vertical, not horizontal. So that was not ideal, but it works at the end of the day, so that's all that matters. And I used this hutch right here from Horse Ranch. Oh, that's where I pulled out the pillows and blankets. I thought it was so cute, and then once I seen the swatch with the chickens, I was like, I have to use it. This family here, they have chickens, and I don't know why, but it just looks like a grandparent's house to me. Like that, it just screams grandma's house. I don't know why. I think it's just the cottage look. But yeah, like I was saying, this china cabinet is actually from Horse Ranch, and I think it is so cute, and I love the fact that you can place your own items in there. And so I placed one of those little like sage things in there, and then I also just placed some like little like pictures. I didn't know what else to put in there, to be honest, guys. That was like the best I could think of. And then I just placed like a bouquet of flowers on the table and then a picture on the wall, and that is really it for the dining room. The dining room is so small, I really can't fit anything else in there, and so it came together very, very quickly. We are now finishing up the kitchen, and like I was saying earlier, I absolutely love these green kitchen cabinets. I think they're so pretty, and then with the light wood countertops, it looks really, really nice. I didn't think I liked the light wood countertop, to be honest, because I have that in real life in my house currently, and I cannot stand it. But in The Sims, it kind of works, and with the cottage vibe that you're trying to go for, it works. I'm just living in a regular house, and so it just doesn't. It looks so old-timey to me, so it's not my favorite. I really want like a white sparkly quartz countertop. I've been seeing that in some of the houses we've been looking at, and it's absolutely beautiful. That is my dream countertop. But back to the build. So I'm just placing different like items that I'm finding from mainly Country Kitchen Kit, but also some from Cottage Living and Horse Ranch as well. I love that little like chicken sculpture thing that I have in the corner there. It looks like you're supposed to place like your eggs in it. Too bad it's not actually functional like that, but it is very cute. Every time I do any sort of like farm cottage sort of build, I always use that thing. It is just so cute. And then that bread box with the little cherries on it, I love it. It matches so well. And I also did the stove / oven, and the refrigerator is actually from the Country Kitchen Kit. And I decided to go with yellow. I don't know, I felt like it needed a little bit of color, and that color was yellow, and once I placed it, it looked super, super good. And I love that oven and the fridge from the Country Kitchen Kit. I think it's so cute, and it definitely does look like a country kitchen, and so I just love it. That refrigerator, I love how it's like a regular fridge on top and then like a freezer on the bottom. I think that is so cute. And then the oven has like a tall back on it, which I absolutely love it. And that is pretty much the kitchen. I did put a couple of rugs down. I love to do that in my kitchens. It makes it look realistic and homey. And sometimes, you know, you can't fit any rugs in a kitchen. It just, nowhere you put it looks good. But I was able to find a couple places in this kitchen. I pretty much put one right behind the islands and then called it a day on the kitchen. And I also, on top of the islands, I did put like a little like teapot with a couple of cups, the one from Cottage Living that like looks like mushrooms. I think that is so cute, and so I ended up putting that on top of the kitchen islands. And we are now working on the main bathroom downstairs. This is the bathroom that all the kids use and that the guests that come over will use as well. And I have my sim here just testing to make sure everything works out okay. I did put a china cabinet, not really china cabinet, maybe just like a bathroom hutch, a bathroom cabinet. You guys know what I'm talking about. The thing that I put in the corner, that is actually from Horace Ranch, and I came across it, and I love putting those in my bathrooms. I feel like it adds an extra like detail that makes it more realistic. And so it was very important for me to figure out how to make that work, and I had to kind of like move it around, play with it a little bit, but I finally was able to have my sim reach the toilet. He was saying that the sink was in the way, but really in reality the toilet was not pushed in the wall enough. That ended up being the problem. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I did figure it out, so that's good. So, we are now over into the infant's room, and this is my attempt on making like a different sort of infant's room / nursery. I usually do the same, you know, either blue or pink or green, and I don't really ever figure out how to branch from there. So this is my attempt on trying to be different. And so, I mean, we're in, you know, Henford-On-Bagley. What's constantly bothering your garden and your chickens? Foxes. And so I figured, you know, why not have a fox themed room? I came across this rug from one of those like the little baby rugs. I like to size those up to make them actually fit a little bit bigger because they're so tiny. And I came across a fox swatch and I was like, oh my god, that's kind of perfect though. Like, I don't know if that room is ugly or is it super cute. You guys let me know. I know it's a lot of orange, but at the end of the day, I feel like it kind of works with the wallpaper that I use that has a little bit of grass at the bottom and has like little butterflies, I think, kind of flying throughout on like the top part, and then, you know, just the regular crib, regular white crib, I think, and then a little like dresser with the orange curtains and the orange fox rug, and I put a little bit of a toy basket in there with some blocks. Yeah, let me know if that is totally horrendous or if that was, you know, if that's a pretty good attempt of trying to be different. I do not know. I feel like I think it's cute, but what I might think is cute, you guys might think is horrendous. So let me know. We are actually now in like the sunroom / green room. I struggled at first figuring out what I wanted to do with this room. I almost made it another like sitting room sort of thing, but I realized I wasn't going to have enough outside space to have an outside garden, and so I thought it was kind of perfect to make this like an indoor garden, aka like a greenhouse sort of thing. But it's directly outside where the dining room is, so right where the kitchen and dining room is, you walk out that door and you come into this like little sunroom / green room. I love the idea of that, to be honest. I think that is so cute, and I would love to have something like that in real life, to be honest. And now everything that you grow, it doesn't matter what season it is, if you do have seasons installed, you can grow your produce / flowers in there the whole year. It doesn't matter if it's winter or summer or spring or fall, it doesn't matter. You can grow anything you need to in that little room. And that is not the only place that I put like garden pots and stuff. I actually put a few garden pots down in the nectar cellar as well, and I also put like a few outside. It's nothing crazy outside, just a few little things outside, but I figured down in the nectar cellar that would be the place where your sim could grow like their grapes and other berries that they like to make nectar with, and then inside where like the kitchen is, you could use that maybe to grow some flowers, but mainly to grow the produce that you actually like use to cook with. I do have the simple living lot trait activated on this lot. When I do place it on the gallery, you can always remove that if you don't like it, because remember, we don't have a cow on this lot. We don't have a cow shed or a llama shed on this lot. There just was not enough room. I decided to do a horse instead. And the reason why I did that is because I decorated the teen boys room as like horse themed. Like, he's really into horses. I'll talk more about that once we get to his room though. So the simple living lot trait will be a little bit harder to use since we do not have cows. You'll actually have to go into town to get your milk, which you'll have to do that to get your meat and stuff anyways, unless, you know, you kill your chickens or your cows, which is just rude. And I feel like it's cheaper just to go into town and buy it anyways. I'm not sure. I don't usually kill my farm animals here in The Sims. I get too attached to them. I could never own chickens to eat in real life. That's all I have to say. I get way too attached to my animals. I could not do that. I mean, I'm not a vegetarian, don't get me wrong, but if I don't actually raise the animal myself, I'm fine. But if I'm raising it, oh no, I could never kill it and then eat it. I'd be like thinking like, oh my god, this is like pork chop that I'm eating right now. This is my pet pig pork chop. So yeah. Anyways, I got a little sidetracked there. But the simple living lot trait, like I was saying, you will have to go in town quite often to pick up different stuff that you need, but you do have a chicken coop, so you will be all stocked up on eggs, and so you're fine there. And then, yeah, I mean, I love playing with the simple living lot trait. It's more realistic. You actually have to go in town to get your groceries, and I love that. Sometimes I even play that way, even in like a suburban house. I'll just like have my Sims get like their groceries dropped off. The only thing that I do not like about the simple living lot trait is that they don't have actual grocery stores that you can go to. Like, they need to add that. And I mean, maybe now that businesses and hobbies are out, I never actually even thought about building a grocery store and seeing if that run properly. So that's actually a pretty good idea. I might end up doing that. Simple living lot trait mixed with businesses and hobbies to make a grocery store. I really like the idea of that. But we'll see. We'll see if I'll even be able to achieve that. I'm sure someone has already built it. But I am going to attempt to build it to see if I have any luck. That just sounds super, super fun. And yeah, so anyways, as of right now, we are working on the child's room, but we did actually already finish the parents' room. The parents' room came together super, super quick. And as far as the parents' like hobbies and interests and stuff goes, they are both really into gardening and they're both really into horses. Like, this whole family's into horses. They actually make their money off of gardening, selling eggs, and doing like horse championships and stuff. Their son, the teenager in this house, he actually is like a championship rider along with their horse, and they always play in like local shows, and they get like first place almost all the time. Like, they are unbeatable. They are very, very, very good. The horse that they have raised from a foal, and they have trained it very, very well. Let's just put it that way. And he also is at the moment working with his little sister to teach her how to ride horses like he does. And she's really into it as well. She really wants to get her own horse. The family, the parents, you know, they're thinking about getting her own horse, but they will have to expand the shed a little bit in order to do so, because there's only like enough room in there for one bed. So at the moment, she's using her brother's horse to be able to like learn how to ride and all that, but she really has a dream of being a championship rider as well, and being just as good, if not better, than her big brother. And also, another thing that mom does for like money and a hobby too is cross stitching. She is really into cross stitching, and she's really good at it too. She's so good that she's actually able to place it on Plopsy, and people actually buy it. They buy it for like a lot of money too. Like, she's that good. People on Plopsy, man, they will buy anything, to be honest. And we are, oh, and then Dad, he is, for a hobby other than gardening and all that, he is really into cooking. He loves cooking, and he loves like making dinner for his family. He loves making like desserts and all of that. He just loves to cook. That's like his favorite pastime. So this family never goes hungry. But we are now over into the teenager's room, and like I was saying, he is a championship rider. And so I tried to design his room to mimic that. And so you'll see me pull out like a horse championship trophy, the gold one, of course. And then I have like pictures of horses and all of that. Now, he is very into horses, but he's also really into like video games and chatting with his friends online and that sort of stuff. So I ended up putting like a love seat chair in here with a like side table holding his TV, and I also put like a gaming console in there as well. And oh, I pulled out this little shelf. It has like a little cowboy hat and sweaters and stuff. I thought that was super cute. That's from Horse Ranch too, I believe. But yeah, so I pull out a TV and I just place it on top of that little like side table that's there. I am placing different random decorations. That bullhead, I do end up moving that over by where his computer desk is under his loft bed. I just thought it fit a little bit better there. Oh, and here I am using that long, skinny table again. It works in the best places, guys. I love that table right there. The swatches, I wish some of them were like just bland, like blank white, like stark white, no like wood design, but you know, it is what it is. I guess I can deal with the wood design. It's not a huge deal. And I'm also just placing like different items that you might find in like a teen boy's room. I did place like a little basketball and sports set right there in front of his little end table. And I struggled with the rug. If you guys could not tell, I did struggle with the rug. I really wanted to place like a circular rug under his computer like chair, but I couldn't find a good one that really, you know, went over the main rug. For some reason it kept clipping under it, and I hate that. I hate that so much. But I ended up doing away with that circular rug as well, and I found this one from Horse Ranch, and I thought it kind of brought all the colors together. I thought it looked really, really good. And then I just placed another poster on the wall that was like really blank there. And yeah, I mean, I'm just really filling up wall space at this point. I did place some like men's colognes in there. I figured he's really, you know, he might like to get dirty in the garden and while riding his horse and stuff like that, but he's actually really clean cut as well. Like, he will never go to school smelly. That will never be him. And that is it for the teens room. I am working on the master bathroom now. I did totally forget to do that. It totally just slipped my mind when I was doing the master bedroom. So I'm doing it now. And I ended up adding another window here in like the toilet room. It was too blank and I didn't know what to put on that end wall. And when you put all the walls down besides the back wall, I hate when the back wall is empty, because then it makes the house look not filled up and not decorated. And so I ended up just putting a window there and calling it a day. And then in the main part of the bathroom, I ended up just putting a sink tub combo, the same one that I used downstairs, and then the sink. Or wait, did I say the sink tub combo? I meant the shower tub combo, but I'm sure you guys know what I meant. And then I put the sink, totally the same exact things that I put downstairs is what I put upstairs, to be honest. Because I'm not original. No, I'm just joking. I try to be original, but sometimes bathrooms, you can only do so much in a bathroom, to be honest. But I mean, that is actually it for inside. I've completely decorated inside. I actually did the opposite that I normally do. I usually do the outside first and then head to the inside and finish the inside. But this time around, I don't know what happened with me, guys. I just built the house and did the inside, and then I went to the outside. Which it actually kind of worked out that I did that, because I wasn't sure, like I said at the beginning, if I wanted to do horses or if I wanted to do cows. I really wanted to do both, to be honest, but this lot wasn't big enough to do both. I was gonna do a bigger lot, but you know, the time, it takes a long time to do those big lots, and so I ended up just doing this smaller one. And since I did the teens room and he's really into like horses and stuff, I figured, you know what, it is what it is. I'm doing a horse. You'll just have to go in town for your milk. It's fine. And so since I'm doing a horse, I am building the shed at the moment. I do end up moving it back to the corner. I you know, the placement here is not my favorite, to be honest. That like horse jumping thing, we need it here in Henford-On-Bagley because this is not Chestnut Ridge. Chestnut Ridge, there are random like horse barrels and the jumping things and all of that you can use around the neighborhood, but we don't have that here in Henford-On-Bagley, and so I had to place it on the lot. I had no choice. And so it takes up so much room. I really would have liked to have an outside garden or maybe like a pond or something, but no, that jumping arena, it took up all the room. And it makes more sense for the shed to be closer to the house so that it has like a pavement heading to the shed and back to the house. But I also just hate how close it is at the same time to the house. And then when I like go to post it on the gallery, it looks like so bad with how close it is to the house. So I ended up changing it and moving it back to the corner once I finish the inside and all that first, and then I think I even do the nectar cellar downstairs, and then I end up moving it. But I do move it, and then I put the jumping area right next to it where the shed is now. And like I said, it is very, very close to the house. The lot is very filled because of all of these items, but at the end of it, I do think I made it look really good. Like, you know, I don't like to toot my own horn, but at the same time, when a horn tooting is deserved, it's deserved, you know? So I do think I did a good job. Let me know down in the comments below if you do like this little cottage and like the horse ranch combination that I have going on, or if it's a miss. Is it a hit or a miss? Just let me know. Be nice though. Let me know down below. But we are now working on the little nectar cellar down here, and this came together very, very fast. At first, I didn't really know what I wanted to place where. It was like a huge blank room, and I'm like, oh god, it's a little bit too big. But I just placed basically the necessities, to be honest. So I have like the nectar cellars, or you know, the nectar like holders on the walls. I have the nectar maker, of course. I have like a little storage bin thing. I'm pretty sure you can put anything and everything in there, and so I thought that was perfect to have in there. It's just a little storage, and then just like little random nectar barrels. And oh, I did put the 3 pots so you can have your favorite berries that you like to use for the nectar. And yeah, I mean, that is basically it. And then I, of course, added some wall decorations just to make it look a little bit more filled up. But that is pretty much it. I think it turned out super, super cute. And I did place a ladder going downstairs because there was not enough room for a whole staircase. That's really the only reason why. Those ladders, I'm so happy they added them. They come in handy so often. And as far as like the windows on the outside, I wanted the outside to match, relatively match to the outside of the house. And so I ended up doing cats and dogs windows instead of cottage living windows, just because they looked more like farm house to me, for like a horse, a barn basically. And what I made the same is that I use the same like green shutters on both sides, and so it makes it blend together very well, to be honest. And at the moment, I have the whole barn raised up on one platform level, but I do add some terrain manipulation so that it looks like it's just going uphill, and so your horse really honestly should have no problem going inside of that barn. Oh, and inside of the barn, I ended up using that brand new handiness table, the woodworking bench that we just got for this new like nature event. You get it like first thing, like you don't even have to unlock it. You only basically have to enter the game and then you get it. And so I ended up placing that inside of the barn. Once I seen I had that, I'm like, oh god. That was another reason why I made this build, to be honest. I really wanted a reason to use that new woodworking bench. Did I have to do a cottage? No. I could have done just a regular suburban house, but I wanted some sort of nature vibe going on. And then we have, of course, everything the horse needs in that barn. And I also placed a few first place like plaques on the wall right next to his bed. You know, he's a horse. He's a champion horse. He deserves to see his gold medals. And then just some random decorations. At the end, I do end up adding some like hay bales. I think that's what it's called. Like hay seats. Basically, they're seats made of hay. I placed some outside of the little barn there, and then I placed some on the little side porch that's there. And that is it for the barn. I just placed the chicken coop, and I am also placing the little ball that the horse needs. And here I am manipulating the terrain just a tad little bit so that it has a slant, an uphill slant going inside of the barn so that the horse should not have a problem going in there. And then, as you can see, that horse jumping thing. That's the only word I can think of for it. I'm sorry. The horse jumping track that's there takes up so much stinking room. It takes up literally the size of the lot. But I ended up being able to put terrain paint to make it look like, you know, it kind of works. And your sim should not have a problem walking through there. Maybe when one of your other sims is using the jumping course with their horse, your sim may not be able to walk around it. I did not try, but again, they might be able to. So if not, there is a front and back door that they can go that way. So it's really not a huge deal. And yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the build. I am adding some last minute landscaping, which this is so different than I normally do, guys. If you're a returning viewer of mine, then you know the landscaping is one of, if not the first thing that I do. Like, I even do the landscaping before I furnish the house, which I know a lot of people say not to do that, just in case you need to edit the house in any sort of way to add a room or take away a room. But I have been able to master the ability to work with what I've got. And so I usually just do the landscaping first. It's one of my favorite parts usually. And then as far as the inside goes, I really just figure it out. I figure out what I have. There's always a way to figure it out, to be honest. Which I guess that statement kind of proves that everyone has their different, unique building style. And that is very true. And not only the style, but the way they build, everyone's different, to be honest. Whatever works for you, works for you. And just do what works for you. Don't try to do what works for somebody else, because chances are your style and building capability, I guess, is not the same as other people's. It just isn't. And that is okay, because people like to see unique builds, and if everybody built the same, then, you know, it wouldn't be interesting to have like different builds on the gallery and stuff. But anyways, as far as the landscaping goes, I did hedgerow bushes, just base game ones. Not my favorite ones. My favorite ones just did not fit. They were a little bit too long. They really need to update those and add like half sizes, but I used the other ones, which actually kind of works with Henford-On-Bagley, to be honest. It has like an extra dark evergreen look to it, and so I really love the color of those. And then I used white hydrangeas. I absolutely love those. They're like one of my go-tos. And then I used some of the fern bushes. A mix between the fern bushes and hydrangeas is such a beautiful mix. I just love it so much. And honestly, it kind of works with whatever build you're doing. Whether it's like a nature or cottage build like I'm doing, a farmhouse, or a suburban build. Weirdly enough, it works with everything. And so that's probably why it's one of my go-tos. And now I am finishing up the terrain paint. I'm really trying to bring the build to life with the terrain paint. The terrain paint makes such a huge difference. I cannot stress that enough. It might look like it just doesn't look finished, and then you add the terrain paint, it brings it all together. It really does. And I do multiple layers, and I try to make it look kind of realistic, to be honest. I'm not the best at terrain paint, but I am getting better at it. And yeah, so I just add, like, I try to make the actual jumping course look like it's actually been used. And so we have like dead grass and dirt kind of mixed in there. Then I'm adding the dirt underneath each of the landscaping pieces and underneath the fence and the trees, of course, and also where the sidewalk ends. I like to place some dirt there just to make it look like, you know, it's kind of realistic. You don't really normally see grass right to a pavement. You usually see some dirt on the side. At least I feel like you do. And it just makes it look like it's walked on, to be honest. I'm adding some fairy lights in these trees right next to the barn and over on the other side of the house where the back patio is. And on the subject of the back patio, it's really not a whole lot going on. I do end up placing a table with an umbrella from Cats and Dogs, and then I add like a little picnic basket, and then I add a grill. The grill that I add is from Horse Ranch, and I feel like it just matched this build for some reason. And then I do add those gardening pots, about 5 of them, over next to the patio. We do have a cat in this lot, by the way, and I almost forgot to add the litter box, and here I am adding it in the parents' room. So sorry to them, but that is the only place I could find to put it. But it looks like we have reached the end of our build, guys. We have officially run out of time. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Of course, if you did, do not forget to leave a like and also subscribe if you have not already. I appreciate each and every one of you guys so much. I hope you all have an amazing weekend, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.